When I was in my last year of high school, my parents took me with them on a business trip to New York City. We had to stay there for a whole week, but I was left alone most of the time because they had business meetings to attend. As I was sitting there, I glanced over the window and saw a club down across the street. I was 18, almost 19, and I do have the look of a 21-year-old. I mean, I have a nice curvy body, and with showing some cleavage, no one will suspect that I'm under the legal drinking age. I put on a short, mini black dress that showed my sexy curves with red lipstick and headed down for the club. I danced with random strangers and had a lot of fun. Then I decided to sit at the bar to rest for a moment and take something to drink. There, I saw him sitting there all alone by himself, a gorgeous blonde guy with a masculine body. He caught me staring at him, smiled gently, and came toward me. He sat on the chair next to me and said, "Hey, gorgeous. I assume a girl with rare beauty like yours is from out of town." Then he winked at me and ordered us some drinks. He introduced himself and told me his name was Eric. We sat there for 2 hours chatting. He told me that he works as a chef at some fancy Italian restaurant and that he may go to Paris to work there for 2 months. He was just so charming, and the whole conversation I couldn't get my eyes off his masculine arms. We danced together and had a lot of fun. After that, he asked me if I wanted to go with him to his place. Well, I couldn't resist, and I went with him. But I told him that I have to be back in the hotel room before my parents get there. We went to his place and immediately started kissing. He was so attractive and hot. It was the best kiss ever. Things escalated quickly, and we ended up in bed. Well, I can't say what happened exactly, but it was so hot. After that, we exchanged numbers and kept in touch for 3 days. I enjoyed spending time with him. Those were the most amazing 3 days of my life. But it finally came to an end. My parents said that it's time to go back to our town as they're done with their business there. It was hard to say goodbye to Eric. We did it over the phone since my parents were in a hurry. He assured me that we'll keep in touch and we'll meet again. When we arrived home, the first thing that I did was to call Eric. I wanted to update him and to check if he's okay. To my surprise, all I got was that the number that I was calling isn't available. What's going on? I tried texting him, but nothing worked. I waited nervously for the next day and tried calling him again, but I got the same answer as before. That jerk! Clearly, he didn't give me his actual number. Was he playing with me? Why would he do so? I told my friend Jessie everything, and she said that I was dumb enough to trust a random guy and to hope he will contact me ever again. That jerk Eric, he fooled around with me. Apparently to him, I was that out-of-town chick who he can kill some time with. A week passed by, and I got over that douche Eric, and I came back to my routine life at school. It was time for history class. I heard some of my classmates whispering that there is a new young teacher since the last one got sick and took a long vacation. Some of the girls whispered that he's young and hot. Well, everybody was excited to see him. When the bell rang, everyone took their seats and were waiting for our new teacher to show up. When he opened the door, I couldn't believe my eyes. My jaw literally dropped. It was him, Eric. What on earth is going on? Someone pinch me, please. When he made eye contact with me, his face went white. It was as if he saw a ghost of his dead-ass grandma. Everyone in the class was confused. They didn't understand what was happening. Then quickly Eric said, "Hey class, I'm your new history teacher, John Samuel. Call me Mr. Samuel." What? John who? Did he lie to me about everything? He's a high school teacher and his name is John? You're kidding me. Those 45 minutes in class felt like a decade. I couldn't stop staring at him with a furious look. I wanted to punch him right in the face. After the class was finished, I followed him to his office. I wanted to confront that so bad. "So, Eric, or should I call you Liar John?" I said. "You lied to my face just to use me." He quickly answered, "You lied about your age too. I thought you were 21, but you're only 18. You can fool people with those curves." He then begged me to keep everything secret, since a student-teacher relationship is illegal. And he moved temporarily to our town because he needed a job badly since he was fired. "You have to keep this a secret, you hear me?" Mr. Samuel said. I replied, "Oh, As long as you do what I want, then I'll keep my mouth shut. We had an agreement. Mr. Samuel will let me pass in his class with good grades, and there's no need for me to even take the test or do any homework. For a couple of days, I enjoyed bossing him around. I just liked having some authority over someone. It felt like having an obedient pet. Well, everything went as planned until I discovered I was pregnant. At first, I didn't know if to keep the baby or not. I was about 18 and ready to graduate. But, well, I have a handsome baby daddy, and this way I can have full control over Mr. Samuel. Besides, this is the best way to get revenge on him since he lied to me before. I decided to confront him right before our history class. I can enjoy teasing him in class, so I went to his office and told him that he has to sit down since I have a big confession. I stood there looking down at him and said, "So, Eric, my bad. I mean, Mr. Samuel. Congrats! You're going to be a father soon. Isn't that exciting?" Mr. Samuel's face turned pale as if he saw a ghost. He froze in his chair for a moment. I thought that his heart had stopped for a second. Then he suddenly stood up with the most furious look. "Are you insane? You have to get rid of the baby. I can't afford to lose my job here. They will kick me." I said, "That's what you get when you fool around like a jerk." He started screaming and telling me not to ruin his life. But I really didn't care. I told him that I'll keep it a secret between us if he agrees to pay me child support each month. Well, he didn't have a choice. That's why he easily agreed. In class, Mr. Samuel acted weird. It was as if he came back from the dead. He was barely focusing and paying attention to what he was saying. I quite enjoyed the show. After a couple of months, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and I kept my promise to Mr. Samuel. He kept paying me child support each month, and to be quite honest, I didn't need that much since my parents are rich, and they agreed to take care of the baby. They loved having a grandchild around. Everything went back to normal. I go to school, my parents take care of the baby, and I keep Mr. Samuel's secret safe. Until one day, I was walking in the school's corridors, and I heard someone talking to Mr. Samuel, saying that his fiancée came to visit. What? Fiancée? Since when he has a fiancée? I got really mad and wanted to punch that. As I was walking by his office, I saw a girl with black hair standing there wearing a tight black dress. I took a quick glance at her. Is that his fiancée? Were they engaged when I was in New York? What a... That day, I went over to his place and he was alone and shocked to see me. "What are you doing here? What if someone sees you?" he said. I quickly replied, "You're engaged. Why didn't you tell me about it?" Mr. Samuel panicked. He didn't know that I knew his little secret. Then I pressured him to tell me everything, or I'll tell the school that he got me pregnant while I'm still a student. He told me that they've been engaged for a year, and she works as a math teacher at his old school, and that he wanted to break up with her, but didn't know how. He said that she stalked him everywhere and she was a crazy person. I was shocked by how weak he is. The next day, she came to school to visit him. I made sure to follow her when she leaves so I can see where she lives. I came back at night and snuck there and took my red spray paint with me, and I wrote all over her front door. The next day, I saw her on the school's hallway, rushing to Mr. Samuel's office. I said, "Some woke up upset today," with an evil smile. She stopped to look at me and said, "It was you, you dirty little brat. Who are you, anyway?" To which I replied, "Leave him alone, you old hag. He's all mine." "Oh, do you know that we have a baby together?" I could clearly see the anger on her face. She wanted to snatch me by my hair, but she took a deep breath and went into the office and slammed the door behind. Well, I thought that she would break up with him, but I was wrong. When school finished, I went to the parking lot to go home. I took Mom's car since she wasn't using it, but I saw that all the tires were flat. Someone destroyed all of them. I looked around and I saw that was standing there with a pair of scissors in her hand laughing. She's a psycho. I had to get rid of her before she gets rid of me. The next day when I was passing by Mr. Samuel's office, I saw her sitting on his lap and saying, "How's my sweet bunny?" And when she noticed me, she pressed her breasts on his face. She looked at me with that evil smirk. I'll make sure to teach her a lesson. After school, I took my baby and went to Mr. Samuel's apartment. When he opened the door, he was shocked to see me, as he warned me before to never show up at his place. But I didn't care. To not my surprise, was there. She looked furious and said, "Little Missy couldn't keep her thighs covered, so now she has a baby?" I angrily said, "At least I'm not dumb to let my fiancé fool around." Then all of a sudden she attacked me and pulled me by my hair. I attacked her back. Mr. Samuel stood there holding the baby, not knowing what to do. After a couple of minutes, the police showed at the door, said that they had got some noise complaints from the neighbors. They gave us a warning, but that screamed and said it's all my fault and jumped to attack me. Luckily, the police caught her and took her with them. I stood next to Mr. Samuel holding my baby. I didn't see her nor heard about her for a couple days. Everything came back to normal, or so I thought. As we sat in class, our math teacher said that he will be going for a month, and there is a new young teacher to replace him for. As the new teacher entered the class, my jaw literally dropped. "It's that she said, "Hi everyone, I'm Clara, and I'll be your new math teacher for this month." Then she looked at me with an evil grin on her face. From there on, the math teacher became a nightmare to me. Clara will always choose the hardest math problem and force me to solve them in front of the whole class so she can make fun of me. Sometimes she'll say things like, "Oh, I guess that those math questions are just too much for your peanut-sized brain," and the whole class will laugh. I decided that I had had enough, and I had to do something about it. So when it was time for math class, I hid my phone in my pencil case and pushed the recording button. Clara again picked on me in front of the whole class, and luckily, I got it on video. After the class was over, I went straight to the principal's office and showed him the video and told him everything. Clara was immediately fired, and the whole town knew that she bullied students at school. That's why she was left with no choice but to leave town. As for Mr. Samuel, I dumped him. He wasn't worth it after all. If he didn't know how to protect me, then I don't need him. As for now, I graduated high school and I go to college. My parents take really good care of my baby when I'm away, and they support me to continue my education. I guess sometimes you have to see people's true colors to grow up and move forward. That's it for my story today. I hope you really liked it. Don't forget to leave a comment down below